This
around
conference will now be
10
recorded.
plus years of experience in completely IT, handling cloud as well as infrastructure engineering, platform engineering, and working as an principal architect as a vice president for the completely DevOps tech stack in one of the banking forum. So today we're going to be discussing about like AWS master program. So with Mithun Technologies. So with Mithun, I think I almost completed 8 years. So this is like almost like 250 plus batches I almost completed. So now today I'm going to be discuss about like what are you guys are going to be covered in coming next 2 months in AWS master program. So this is like going to be covered AWS solution architect associate level and professional level. You are been covering 80% of the topics. Our main goal is to make people to sustain in the real time environment with advanced tech stack along with the tools which you guys are going to be discussing in terms of AWS services will going to be covered and ensure that these services are going to be help you to make life easy in the real time environment. That is the thought process here. So here uh, this curriculum as completely designed for the people who are seeking for to move to the cloud computing with AWS Amazon Web Services, and also it will help you to sustain as a cloud administrator with almost like in a professional manner. So which means like there is no prerequisites is required for this training section to attend. Here I'm going to be cover the Linux, so which is like main fundamentals of any of the respective tech stack. So here I'm going to cover the few main concepts of Linux, right? So you guys no need to require any kind of prerequisites to attend for this training. And this training section is completely designed to freshers and the mid level as well as the expert level, right? So here almost like we are going to cover 70 hours of section, right, for the enablement of you guys into the AWS platform. So the topics which you are covering here in next coming 70 hours, firstly with the cloud computing, right? What is cloud computing and how this respective cloud computing will going to be help you to ensure that deployment of application in the cloud premises, especially AWS. And here difference between the on-prem way of deployment of your respective applications and your respective cloud way of deployment of your respective services. Here, firstly, the cloud deployment models, right, which is completely public cloud, private cloud, and hybrid cloud. Later, we're going to be ensuring like service deployment models. So here, we're going to be enabling like the main objective of service deployment models here, such as platform as a service and software as a service, container as a service, and infrastructure as a service. Right, and functionality as a service. So later we'll entering into the concepts of virtualization and the relation of the virtualization over the cloud. Right. So here we're going to be discuss about like types of virtualization. Right, especially with the bare metal virtualization and hosted virtualization. Right, hosted virtualization here. So now here later these are forms into the concepts of cloud practitioner, the candidates which are not aware of like completely cloud and the fundamentals of the cloud. People can able to get thorough understanding after this three topics, how this cloud is going to be help you to enable. Then the first concept here, AWS, the history of AWS here, when this respective AWS got started, what and all services has been hosted, and in AWS we're going to be have a deep dive in the AWS management console. Right, AWS management console, and also the respective concepts of availability zones and the regions, service quotas. Right, service quotas, and also it will help you to enable the respective, right, service quotas, and also the creation of AWS free tier account. Right, all these things will going to be discussed, and the later will enter into the concept of EC2, elastic compute cloud, so which will be like completely having like we're going to be have a deep discussion about like instance purchase options, which is very important concept for the saving of your respective cost here. Instance purchase option. Right, in this we'll go for the spot instances, reserved instances, and on demand instances here. Later we'll enter into the concept of instance types. Here we'll understand about like general purpose instances, storage optimized instances. Right, and memory optimized instances, and compute optimized instances, and accelerated instances, which is for going to be used for your respect to ML and AI optimization here, AI operations. So later we'll enter into the concept of AMIs. Right, creation of the own AMI, creation of the golden AMIs here. Right, copy the AMI from one region to another region, right? Copy the AMI from one region to another region. Copy the AMI from one account to another account. Here, post that will enter into the one of the main important concepts of, right, and very helpful concepts here, elastic load balancers. We here will going to be discuss about the concept of application load balancer in depth, right? Here in the application load balancer, six advanced policies will be there. That all six advanced policies will going to be discussed, which is going to be help you for the designing of your respective, right, application in terms of ALB in the real time environment, right? ALB will play an vital role here. And later we'll enter into the completely the concept of network load balancers here, right? Network load balancer. And now enter into the concept of relational databases, right? Here we're going to have the MySQL, MSSQL, PostgreSQL, and Aurora DB advantages, which is completely an compatible version of both MySQL as well as Postgres. This database concept is very important in real-time environment and non-relational databases here. You guys are going to be carrying the scenario of the DynamoDB and DocumentDB in the non-relational databases. In the non-relational databases, DynamoDB and DocumentDB here. So now here later we'll enter into the concept of, right, enablement of your respective services, especially in terms of, right, storage environment. Firstly, this will whole scenario will going to be covered like app layer, DB layer, and downstream applications, right? Here later will go into consisting of like LH caches, right, which where you guys are going to be discuss about like Redis. And later we'll enter into the concept of auto scaling. Here we're going to be enter into the concept of vertical scaling, right, and horizontal auto scaling. Horizontal auto scaling here. So in the horizontal auto scaling, you have few scaling policies, almost two major important scaling policies. One is with normal scaling, and second one is like step level scaling. The two scenarios will going to be covered. In the real time environment, you guys are going to be covered both step level scaling along with normal scaling. So here keeping those things in our mind, we're going to be enable like both the scenarios here, right? We're going to be enable like both the scenarios here, right? Vertical scaling as well as horizontal auto scaling here. So now here later we'll enter into the concept of, right, the very important concept of for your respective authentication and authorization. You call this one as an, right, authentication and authorization here, right? You call this one as an users, IAM users, groups, roles, policies, MFAs, and the credential report, and SSO login. This is like optional actually. This I'm going to discuss with the Jump Cloud, so which is a free source. So now it is comes into the paid version. This is practical, depends upon the costing factor on the day. I'm going to be decide whether it will showcase or not, right? In the practical, but theoretical wise, I'm going to cover this SSO single sign on, right? This is one thing. So now here we'll enter in the concept of storage mechanisms of AWS. In the storage part, right? Storage services of AWS, right? In the storage part, we're going to be discuss about like elastic block storage, elastic file system, and S3, right? Which is completely an object level storage environment, elastic block storage, and elastic file system, and S3, right? All these areas will going to be discussed here, right? So now here you also going to be clearing the concept of respective main important concept here. We're going to be discuss about like route 53, which is providing like your respective DNS services. Here we're going to be having six routing policies, right? Six routing policies here. In this respective six routing policies, like we're going to be discuss like simple routing policy, right? Failover routing policy, right? Latency routing policy, right? And multi-value routing policy, geolocation routing policy, right? Geolocation routing policy, and we're going to be discuss about like simple failover, latency, multi-value, right? So there is one more routing policy we're going to be discussed here in terms of enablement of your respective route 53 along with your respective DNS management, right? Here we're going to be clearing the one more main important stuff, like I'm going to be enable the respective my own domain. I'm going to purchase my own domain here, right? I'm going to purchase my own domain here, and I'm going to be use the DNS services of the Amazon, and these respective services will going to be mapped to the application load balancer followed by RDS. That whole process, that whole scenarios I'm going to discuss, right? This is one main important thing which I'm going to be covered here, right? So now later we're going to be entering into the concept of, right, CDN, which is nothing but content delivery network, right? Which having the respective, right, latency routing policy here, right? Which having the respective latency routing policies here, which will going to be help you to ensure the respective, right? Which is going to be help you to ensure the respective all kind of policies here, right? For the application cache here, right? For the application cache here. So this will going to be discussed here, and later we're going to be enable the concept of AWS CERT manager, which is for SSL certificates, right? AWS CERT manager here, which is like SSL certificates here, certificate manager here, and here I need to mention like weighted routing policy, right? This is AWS CERT manager. So now this will going to be help you to enable the respective SSL certificate here, right? Respective SSL certificate here for the enablement of your respective services, right? Respective SSL certificate for the enablement of your respective services here. So now this almost will take like at least like 40 to 45 hours here for the completely your covering of your respective phase one, right? You covered like starting from the EC2 and AMI, elastic load balancers, RDS, and your respective cache mechanisms, auto scalings, IAM authentication and authorization here, storage services, Route 53, and your respective CDN and AWS Set Manager here, right? Which is completely right forming your respective concept of right AWS phase one. So now this all the topics will take at least like 40 hours for the covering here. So to complete have a thorough discussion here. So later this AWS curriculum has been divided into like two areas. One is like phase one and second one is like phase two. In the phase one, will going to be covered like along with this 15 services, there are few important services which is very important in the real time environment. One is with dealing with Lambda, which is completely event bridge, Lambda and event bridge, and then the CI/CD pipeline here with the help of AWS environment, right? You guys are going to be using the concept of code build and code deploy. Since code commit is completely deprecated, right? So code build and code deploy. So this two concept will going to be discussing here. So this is very important concept in terms of pipelines management through AWS, right? You guys are going to be using the concept here for your respective code build and code deploy here for the enablement of the services of the CI/CD pipeline. Here I'm going to take one PHP based services. In that respective PHP based services, we're going to be enable the respective how to create a pipeline and how to perform the CI/CD operations in terms of AWS here. Those areas will going to be discussed, and then we'll enter into the container management. You guys are going to be using the concept of elastic container repository, right? Which is to store your respective Docker images, and EKS, Elastic Kubernetes Cluster, how to manage your respective services here. So here I'm going to be discussing about like the creation of Kubernetes EKS, which is completely AWS native tool, right? Which is completely AWS native tool, and ensuring the like functionality here, right? Ensuring the functionality here, right? For the enablement of your respective microservices environment and how to store your respective services, right? Which is completely a Docker image, right? Which is completely a Docker image, right? Those things will going to be right working towards this respective ECR here, right? So later we'll entering into the right later we'll entering into the concept of how to create your respective EKS cluster, right? How to create your respective EKS cluster here. Those areas will going to be discussed in very deep dive manner. This EKS cluster creations, deploying of your respective microservices in the EKS cluster, right? Right. Deploying of your respective microservices in the EKS cluster. All those things will going to be right enable in a detailed manner. I would like to take a pass here, and I would like to uh, go ahead if you have any questions here. So this is for phase one, right? So now here, right? Now here we'll entering into the phase 2 here for your overall networking concept, enablement of your respective VPC, which is like virtual private cloud, ensuring that you have your respective, right, virtual private cloud. So in the public cloud environment, you guys are going to be having the virtual private cloud here. So we'll discuss a brief set of virtual private cloud here. So before entering into the virtual private cloud, we're going to be discuss about like IPAM management, IP address management here. In this respective IP address management, we're going to be discuss about like basic concept of IP addresses, versions of IP addresses, right? All those areas will going to be discussed. We're going to be touch about like basic networking, what is routing, what is switch, right? All those areas will going to be discussed. In the VPC, we'll have a thorough discussion here in terms of what is CIDR, right? Classless inter-domain routing and internet gateway, NAT gateway, right? About your routings here, routing policies, right? Completely routing policies, like we're going to be discuss about like public routing policy and private routing policy here, right? And here we're entering into the concept of VPC peering, right? How to get the connectivity between the VPC pairings here, right? CloudFront here, Mangesh. This is like CloudFront we are covering post Route 53. This is content delivery network, which is nothing but your respective CloudFront. This one, right? So here VPC pairing, and VPN. In the VPN, we're going to be have an point to site VPN and site to site VPN, right? And site to site VPN. So these two things will going to be covered here, right? Point to site VPN and site to site VPN. These two things will going to be covered here in terms of enablement of your respective services here, right? And for the respective creation of your respective network, we are starting from the basics like VPC peering, VPN. In the VPN point to site network, here I'm going to take an example of Open VPN, how to create your respective Open VPN. Those areas I'm going to cover in the deep dive, right? Later, you're entering into the concept of WAF, Web Access Firewall, right? Which is Web Access Firewall, which is completely enablement of your respective services. And then we'll enter into the concept of NACLs, right? And also we'll discuss about like overall way of enablement of your respective services, like how to design your respective applications in very brief manner, right? We are discussing like whole set of based application here. Firstly, we'll start creating about the VPC, the project wise we're going to be trying to enable, right? Here in the VPC we're going to be discuss both complex VPC culture, which having the 4 subnet delegations, and simple VPC, right? Here in the complex VPC culture, you have your respective app subnet, right? So firstly, let's start with web subnet. We'll discuss about what is subnets as well. App subnet, right? Intra subnet and your respective concept of DB subnet here, right? DB subnet here. So in the web subnet, here you have your respective ALB, application load balancer. In the app subnet, here will going to be place our respective EKS clusters, right? EKS clusters. And here your respective intra subnet, you guys are going to be placing about your Ansible management boxes or your respective jump boxes here, jump servers or your respective Ansible management servers. In the DB subnets, you guys are going to be place your respective RDS, right? And Route 53 will going to be use your respective DNS propagation, right? And CloudFront is completely for your app cache layer, and here will going to be that respective app cache layer. This is starting from the Route 53, and here is respective CloudFront, and this respective CloudFront will going to place in the ALB here, right? And this ALB will going to be having the respective EKS cluster. EKS cluster will going to be mapped to your respective, before hitting to the RDS, it will hit your respective Redis. This whole process scenario I'm going to showcase in the respective project mode, right? Basing an application here, and Redis will hit your respective DB. And here you have your respective like open VPN connectivity, which covers your respective site to site VPN, right? So point to site VPN, which is like your open VPN service. So this is overall the way of deployment models we're going to be discussing in our coming sections here, right? In our respective coming sections here. This is one thing. Starting from your respective Route 53, and here in the Route 53, you will going to be have the in between that the web access firewalls, the WAF will going to be placed, right? Which going to be covered your respective WAF layer, right? And this respective WAF layer will going to be protect your respective suspicious attacks, right? Suspicious attacks over the app layer here, right? So now all these areas will going to be covered in terms of the project deployment, in terms of enablement of your respective services, right? Will going to be create overall the practical scenario here, right? Overall practical scenarios, and we'll try to understand the in-depth way of, right, creating of all the services, right? Creation of all the services here, right? Right. So yeah, Silpa, you raise your hand, so go ahead. Silpa, so if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Yeah, post this respective that I will discuss what is the job roles and what is the market, that I will discuss. Let's talk about like technical perspective that I will discuss anyhow. Okay. So coming to the class timings will go with 7:40 to 8, around 9 it will go. So 1 hour 20 minutes of section followed by 60 hours, right? So that is one thing. And second thing here, next coming to the scenarios, right? Yeah, we'll create a PHP based application, and also we're going to be deploy both Java as well as Python based in EKS cluster deployment. And we'll understand the routing, how this respective routing will go, right? Right. That is one thing. So we'll create the applications and we'll try to deploy the respective EKS. The service in the EKS cluster, we'll try to deploy the two microservices. One is Java, and second one is Python. In the EC2, we'll try to deploy Nginx as well as PHP in the CI/CD pipelines. Right? Those things will going to be deploy here. So coming to this respective timings, we'll start from 7:40 and we'll end from 9 o'clock, followed by 60 hours. It depends upon 45 days or 50 days, right? 60 to 65 hours. And the next coming thing, for the enablement of your respective services, the job roles. Here you guys are once see cloud computing is completely like the basement guys for anything. Now all your respective application being deployed in the cloud, right? All your respective application being deployed in the cloud computing here. So in this respective cloud computing, if you guys will going to be have two areas, the major areas is like AWS and Azure. Any of, as for my preference, you guys learn both Azure as well as AWS. You guys need to learn, right? That is the preference actually. See, once you have thorough knowledge in the cloud, either in AWS or in Azure or both, you can go for the next roles. First thing, people will go with DevOps. Most of the people, right? The second main important thing here, like data scientist. And third thing here, people will go with the respective full stack development. And then you can also go with the non-technical roles like TPM, technical product manager. So people will call this one as a project manager here. TPM here, technical product manager or project manager. That roles you also require the cloud as your respective fundamentals. And then you can also go with the one more areas like, right, QA engineers. Any anything you guys take, either you want to go for DevOps, either you want to go with data scientist, either you want to go to full stack development or technical product manager, right? Or the QA analysis like quality test engineer. Cloud computing is the basic fundamental here, right? Cloud computing is the basic fundamental here. That is one thing, right? Right. This is one thing. So anything you guys go for it. Cloud is your respective base knowledge here. No, this is not like DevOps section here. In the DevOps, we used to cover like configuration management tool like Ansible. This is completely cloud section, that to AWS master program. This is not like DevOps syllabus you are covering. DevOps syllabus is completely different here, right? And once this completion of your respective job roles, you can once this completion of this training, you can apply the job roles like cloud administrator, right? And for future, you can go with, like as I said earlier, either you can go with data scientist, either you can go with the respective concept of DevOps, or your respective technical product manager or QA or full stack development. Any of these fields you can able to choose, right? That is one thing. So now the materials will going to be given, the recorded videos will going to be given, which is going to valid for 90 days, right? And interview questions will going to be given, and also resume preparation will going to be done by my side. So I'll share you like the sample resumes. So based upon that, you guys will create your resumes, and later I'm going to review it, right? So resume preparations, your respective interview questions, and the respective materials, and followed by your respective, right, followed by your respective video recordings as going to be given, right, will be given for you, right? That is one thing. Any other questions, guys? I think I covered most of the stuff, the common questions and all, right?
Hey, hi, good morning. I have a quick question.
Yeah, go ahead, Sai.
Can I apply jobs after completing this course, like other
Hmm.
than without doing DevOps or any other courses?
Yes, you can do, but it will be restricted only for the cloud administrator. Guys, one thing, if you guys are like freshers, to answer this question in more precise manner, if you guys are freshers, like 2 to 3 years into the field, post completion of your graduation, right? This is the right step to move for the cloud computing you can apply. And if you are having to 5 to 6 years of the industry, only cloud computing is not sufficient. People will say it is sufficient, but ideally it is not. You guys need to go with an uh, additional trainings, especially in terms of DevOps or data scientist or full stack development, because now the market scenario is completely changed. One tool will not going to be sustain you in the market, right? That is one thing. That is the honest answer. People may say you can go with only AWS master program, will get a job, but ideally that is not true. Only the freshers, like 2 to 3 years window, only those people can able to get a job. That too, you should require cloud computing and Linux both. And simultaneously, you guys need to learn any of the tech stack, either DevOps, either your respective full stack development, either your respective QA, or either your respective data scientist. So that only going to be an entry card. But without cloud computing, you guys will not go for any other further step actually, right? This is the foundation for you, right? Of course, Lakshman, you can easily crack the certification here. Associate level certification you can easily crack. It's a cakewalk for you. But coming to the respective professional level, I recommend you guys to write the professional level certification post at least 2 years, after 2 years of real time experience, right?
Uh, hey, hi, good morning.
No need.
I, I just wanted to ask that. Sorry, I asked about the configuration management tool, but not. I really asked about the infrastructure management tool because I noticed that people are asking for Terraform or something. If you are considering,
Terraform is not covering, as I said earlier, these Terraform configuration management tools, Jenkins and all. You have a separate section. You call this one as a DevOps master program. This is Cloud Master Program, AWS Master Program here. This one that is
okay,
altogether is separate things actually. So one at a time you cannot go to the infrastructure as a infrastructure tool actually, which is completely IAC, right? Right.
yep, yep,
So that you cannot go at once completion of this all the syllabus, then you can may join in DevOps if you are like to go with an infrastructure as a management here, right, which is completely Terraform, right. So that is going to be covered in the DevOps tools actually. Around 11 tools are
okay,
going to be covered. So in that, IAC is one tool. That is one thing. See, certification is very easy, guys. No need to worry about the certification. Only for certification, there is no point of attending the sections. Actually, you can easily. That is only 9 topics. Actually, certifications is almost 11 to 13 topics. That is very easy to crack. Right. This syllabus is beyond the certifications. Actually, coding is not required for this syllabus. There is no coding required. Linux is required. Though that respective Linux will going to be. I'm going to cover. Right. Okay, guys. So admin will guys will going to post you the registration URL. Whoever is interested, please continue with that. Thank you. Thanks for your time.